They exiled humanity to die in the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge. They believed fear would finish us, isolation would break us, and time would erase us. What they never understood was this: humans don't die when buried in darkness, they grow. The great chamber of the Galactic Council was silent. Elena Vasquez stood alone at its center. The room was vast beyond anything built by human hands. Its walls looked like crystal, clear and glowing, yet stronger than any metal humanity had ever created. Light filled the chamber without a visible source, soft but powerful, touching every surface at once. The ceiling rose so high above Elena that it vanished into brightness. Around her, arranged in a massive circle that rose upward like the inside of a bowl, sat the representatives of the 12 elder species of the galaxy. They watched her. Some had eyes. Some had many. Others had none at all. Some glowed with energy. Others were wrapped in armor grown from their own bodies. These beings had ruled the stars for thousands of years. When humanity was still learning how to make fire, some of them had already crossed galaxies. Elena felt very small. She was 47 years old. She had spent her entire adult life preparing for this moment. She had been a diplomat on Mars, then an ambassador to the first alien species humanity ever met. Now, she was the official voice of Earth before the Galactic Council. She believed this was the day humanity would finally be accepted. She was wrong. A figure rose from the highest seat in the chamber. The very High Arbiter. Her skin glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Her face was almost human, but not quite. Her eyes were completely black, deep and empty, like pools of ink. She belonged to the Velry, the oldest of all elder species. They had founded the Galactic Council 6,000 years ago. When the High Arbiter spoke, her voice was quiet. Yet it filled the entire chamber. "We have heard the arguments," she said. "We have examined the evidence. We have consulted all member species." Elena felt her heart begin to race. She forced herself to stand straight. Across human space, billions of people were watching this moment through live broadcasts. She could not allow herself to show fear. The Council has reached a unanimous decision. The word unanimous hit her like a blade. Humanity, the High Arbiter continued, is too dangerous to be permitted entry into galactic civilization. The chamber seemed to tilt. For a moment, Elena could not breathe. She had prepared for rejection. She had prepared for restrictions, conditions, delays, even probationary status lasting centuries. She had not prepared for this. Too dangerous. In less than 100 years since achieving faster-than-light travel, the High Arbiter said, your species has colonized 17 star systems. You have built warships equal to those of species thousands of years older than you. Images appeared in the air, human fleets, shipyards, colonies spreading outward like sparks from a fire. You reproduce at a rate that would overwhelm most worlds, the Arbiter continued. And your history is filled with violence. Murmurs spread through the chamber. You have been at war with yourselves for your entire existence. You created weapons capable of destroying your own home world many times over. Elena clenched her fists. And there is the incident at Proxima Station. The image shifted. 3 core enforcement officers lay dead inside a shattered corridor. 3 council agents were killed, the Arbiter said, by a single human. With his bare hands. Elena remembered the case. Captain James Morrison. He had been carrying medical supplies to a plague-stricken colony. The core officers demanded an inspection that would take weeks. People were dying every hour. Morrison refused. When the core tried to board by force, he fought back. To humanity, he was a hero. To the Council, he was proof. Humanity cannot be trusted, the High Arbiter said. You are too young. Too aggressive. Too unpredictable. Elena opened her mouth to speak, but stopped. Council law was absolute. The accused could not interrupt a verdict. Perhaps in 1,000 years, the Arbiter continued, your species may mature. Until then, humanity must be removed from civilized space. Removed. Elena felt cold spread through her chest. Removed, she said, her voice sharp. What do you mean, removed? The High Arbiter did not hesitate. You will be exiled. The word echoed through the chamber. Humanity is hereby banished to the terminus expanse beyond the galactic rim. You have 50 cycles, approximately 50 of your Earth years, to evacuate all human presence from Council space. A ripple of approval passed through the chamber. Some species stamped their limbs. Others flickered with light. Any human found within our borders after that time, the Arbiter finished, will be executed on sight. This is a death sentence, Elena said. The terminus expanse was known even among elder species as a wasteland. Dead stars. Frozen rocks. No habitable worlds for light years in any direction. You are condemning 20 billion people to extinction. That is not our concern, the High Arbiter replied calmly. Your species has proven itself unworthy of existence among civilized beings. Something broke inside Elena. She looked around the chamber, at ancient faces filled with fear and contempt. She had come here believing the galaxy was big enough for everyone. Instead, she found judgment. May I speak? She asked. There is nothing more to discuss, the Arbiter replied. I am not appealing, Elena said. I am responding. As allowed under your own laws. The High Arbiter's dark eyes narrowed. After a long pause, she nodded. You may speak. Briefly. Elena turned slowly, making sure every representative could see her. Her words would be recorded. Remembered. 600 years ago, she said, my species had not yet learned how to print books. 300 years ago, we had not split the atom. 100 years ago, we had not reached our own moon. The chamber was quiet. In the time it takes one of your children to learn how to walk, Elena continued, humanity went from caves to the stars. She lifted her chin. You call us dangerous, she said. You are right. Murmurs rose. We are dangerous, Elena said clearly. But we did not come here as conquerors. We came as partners. As students. As friends. Her voice hardened. And you answered us with exile. She looked directly at the High Arbiter. You have made a mistake. The chamber held its breath. You had the chance to make humanity your ally, Elena said. Instead, you chose to make us your enemy. She paused. My people will obey your verdict, she said. We will go into exile. Her voice dropped, cold and steady. But we will not die quietly. Silence. We will survive, Elena said. We will remember. She turned toward the exit. And one day, she said softly, we will return. Her footsteps echoed as she walked away. Behind her, the High Arbiter spoke, her voice no longer certain. This session is concluded. Humanity had been exiled. And the galaxy had no idea what it had just created. The exile began the very next day. Across human space, ships changed purpose overnight. Vessels built for trade were stripped and rebuilt to carry families. Exploration ships became lifeboats. Military fleets were ordered not to fight, but to protect the evacuation. 20 billion people had 50 years to leave everything they knew. On Earth, crowds gathered in silence. Cities that had once been full of noise stood quiet as people watched the stars, wondering if they would ever see them again. On Mars, the great terraforming engines shut down. On distant colonies, workers abandoned projects that would never be finished. Humanity was leaving. Elena Vasquez returned to Earth in 3 days. She did not sleep during the journey. She watched the stars pass outside her window and turned the Council's words over in her mind again and again. Too dangerous. When her ship landed, every world leader was already waiting. For the first time in human history, Earth stood united. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists, all of them gathered in the Great Hall of the United Earth Government. The building had been designed to celebrate humanity's entry into the galactic community. Now, it would decide humanity's survival. They have given us 50 years, Elena said, standing before them. 50 years to move 20 billion people to dead space. 50 years to survive, or disappear. Fear filled the room. Anger followed. But beneath it all, something else began to rise. Determination. The Council believes this exile is a slow execution, Elena continued. They think we will fight among ourselves. That we will arrive broken. That we will die quietly. She paused. They do not know us. A low murmur spread through the hall. We have a choice, Elena said. We can wait to die. Or we can prepare. That night, humanity made its decision. The terminus expanse became their destination. And their forge. The first years were hell. The journey itself killed billions. Ships failed. Life support systems collapsed. Supplies ran out. Some colonies turned their lights off forever, drifting silent in the dark. Others survived only through sacrifice, strict rationing, hard choices, and discipline. Grief followed every fleet. But humanity endured. By the 10th year, the survivors reached the edge of the galaxy. The terminus expanse was worse than feared. Dead stars hung in frozen darkness. Planets were cracked, frozen, or poisoned. There were no welcoming worlds, no easy places to live. So humanity built their own. They carved stations into asteroids. They hollowed dead moons. They built rotating habitats and sealed them with layers of metal and hope. And they hid. Elena's final gift before her death was a single command. Let the Council believe we are dying. Decoy stations were left behind, damaged, empty, drifting. Fake distress signals echoed through space. Broken ships were placed where Council scouts would find them. Humanity disappeared. And in the darkness, they worked. Children born in the expanse grew up under artificial skies. They learned early that survival was not a gift, it was earned. Schools taught engineering beside history, farming beside physics. Every child learned why they were there. They learned the word exile before they learned to read. 50 years passed. Admiral Marcus Chun stood on the observation deck of Forge Station. It was the largest structure humanity had ever built. A ring of metal nearly 100 kilometers wide, hanging between two dead stars. Shipyards surrounded it, filled with vessels in every stage of construction. Marcus was 63 years old. He had been 13 when the exile began. Old enough to remember Earth. Young enough to grow up in the dark. His parents had died during the journey. Like billions of others, they never saw the new human worlds. Admiral, Commander Sarah Williams said, approaching. The Defiance will be ready for final testing this week. Marcus nodded. The Defiance was something new. Not built from stolen designs or copied alien systems. It was human from the ground up. Faster engines. Thicker armor. Weapons based on principles no Council species had ever used. We had no choice but to innovate, Marcus said. Isolation forced us to become better. Sarah smiled faintly. The Council believes we're still falling apart. Marcus looked at the stars. Let them. The Terran Dominion ruled human space now. It was not a democracy, not at first. It was a system built for survival. Promotion was earned by skill, not birth. Failure was corrected. Corruption was removed. Harsh. Effective. Humanity became unified in a way it never had before. Then came the breakthrough. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood before a glowing hologram. The Council's shields are old, she said. They rely on strength. We rely on disruption. Marcus understood immediately. You can break them. Yes, she said. From the inside. For 50 years, humanity had prepared. And now, they were ready. The signal went out at midnight. 3 words. We are coming. The first human ship appeared near Council space 73 years after the exile. A core patrol ship detected it. One small human vessel. Outdated. Weak. The core commander laughed. Then the human ship accelerated faster than physics said it should. Weapons fire filled space. The human ship did not slow. One shot. A blue beam cut through core shields like air. The patrol ship vanished in a flash of light. Humanity had returned. Within weeks, more core ships died. Within months, their border collapsed. The Council watched in confusion. They had buried humanity in the dark. They did not realize they had planted a weapon. And now, it was awake. The galaxy did not understand what was happening. For decades, the Council believed humanity was dying in the terminus expanse. Scout reports showed abandoned stations, broken ships, and fading signals. The exile was working. Or so they thought. Then core ships began to vanish. At first, the Council assumed accidents. Equipment failures. Pirate attacks. Nothing serious. They were wrong. Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood on the bridge of the Defiance. She was young for an admiral, only 35, born in the expanse to parents who had never seen Earth. To her, exile was not history. It was life. "Report," she said calmly. "Core border fleet collapsing," an officer replied. "Enemy shields failing. Minimal losses on our side." Yuki nodded. The numbers matched the simulations. The core were powerful, but predictable. Their technology was old. Their tactics were built on fear and brute force. Humanity had spent 73 years learning how to break both. The core home systems burned. Human fleets struck military targets only. Shipyards. Defense platforms. Command centers. Civilian worlds were surrounded, not destroyed. This confused the core. They expected slaughter. Instead, they received orders to surrender. Those who did were spared. Those who resisted died. Within months, the core empire collapsed. Admiral Yuki broadcast a single message to their home world. "You exiled us to die," she said. "We survived. You declared war first. This ends now." The core refused. 3 weeks later, their capital fell. The first Council species was defeated. Panic spread. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session for the first time in centuries. Representatives shouted. Screens showed red human fleets spreading across former Council space. "They were supposed to be dead," one delegate whispered. "They were primitive," said another. The High Arbiter of the Velry stared at the displays, her glowing skin dim. "How?" she asked. A junior analyst stepped forward. "They used the exile," the analyst said. "Every year. Every sacrifice. They turned isolation into growth." Silence followed. The Council finally understood. Humanity had not survived despite the exile. They had survived because of it. Some species chose to fight. They died. The Vorm Collective sent hive fleets 10 times larger than human forces. Human weapons disrupted their control signals. Their ships turned into drifting metal. The mechanical consensus calculated victory through numbers. Human hackers rewrote their logic. The machines destroyed themselves. One by one, Council powers fell. But not all chose war. The Visari came with open archives and open hands. They remembered voting against humanity's exile. The Terran Dominion accepted them as a protectorate. Others followed. Trade species. Minor powers. Former enemies. Human rule spread. Not gentle, but fair. 75 years after the exile, only one Council species remained unconquered. The Velry. The founders. The judges. The ones who had signed humanity's death sentence. The Velry prepared for their final stand. The High Arbiter broadcast speeches filled with pride and fear. She spoke of ancient order. Of barbaric humans destroying civilization. Few listened. Her fleets were strong. Her technology advanced. It was not enough. Admiral Yuki Tanaka brought the fleet to Vel. She chose the date carefully. The anniversary of the Galactic Council's founding. "This is Admiral Yuki Tanaka of the Terran Dominion," she broadcast. "Your empire has fallen. Your allies are gone." The High Arbiter appeared on screen. "I will not surrender to primitives," she said. Yuki nodded. "I expected that. I'm not speaking to you." She turned the broadcast outward. People of Vel, Yuki said. Your leader chose pride over your lives. You do not have to die for her. She offered terms. Surrender. Survive. The High Arbiter screamed orders. No one followed. Velry cities powered down their weapons. Their fleets stood down. For the first time in 6,000 years, the Velry surrendered. The High Arbiter was captured in the same chamber where humanity had been condemned. Her trial was broadcast across the galaxy. Crimes against an intelligent species. Genocide through exile. She did not deny it. You were dangerous, she said. I was right. The human judge, born in the expanse, answered calmly. You tried to bury us, she said. You did not know we were seeds. The verdict was simple. Life imprisonment. The Velry would live. They would never rule again. The Galactic Council was dissolved. A century passed. The galaxy changed. Human administrators ruled harshly but justly. Schools replaced council courts. Trade replaced tribute. Fear gave way to law. Former enemies became citizens. Children grew up knowing many skies. 200 years after the exile, Chancellor Amora Aduia stood before the Galactic Assembly. The room held 100 species. Humans sat beside aliens once sworn to destroy them. My ancestors were told they had no place among the stars, Amora said. They were exiled to die. She raised her hand. They did not die. Applause filled the chamber. We were called dangerous, she continued. We are dangerous, to tyrants, to those who believe they can decide who deserves to live. She paused. We are builders, and we will keep building. In a quiet prison cell, the High Arbiter whispered to herself. We should have killed them. Outside, the galaxy burned with light. The exile was over. Humanity had returned. And the stars would never forget it.